Welcome everybody to a new My Hero Academia video. Guys, I have the one and only ultimate Tokoyami guide for you today. I've been working alongside YUYJ on Discord. If you've been on the help channel, you know him. He knows a lot about this game. It's insane. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that he designed it himself. But yeah, if you need any advice on any character at all, jump in the Discord and look for him in the help channel, and he will help you so much. But yeah, we've been working together to make this guide that you can see right here for Tokoyami. It was at the beginning it was gonna be Aizawa, but you know, there are so many guides for Aizawa on YouTube. I thought maybe Tokoyami would be a better option, but let me know guys in the comments if you still want the Aizawa guide. We will work on every single character, obviously, over time, but you know, these guides, as you can see, they take a lot of time, a lot of effort to make. So if you'd like to show your support, please subscribe, please leave a like, leave a comment. What do you think? It helps my channel a lot. And yeah, let's just jump into it. Alright, and we're gonna get started with the general core gameplay, okay? So first thing that you need to know is that your shadow does all of your damage, okay? We're gonna be jumping between the game and the guide so that I can kind of like give you a demonstration of what I mean by all of this. But basically what this means is that it's always going to be your shadow doing all of your hits, right? It's never going to be Tokoyami himself unless it's the perfect dodge. That's the only time in which Tokoyami himself actually does the kicking. But yeah, it's basically going to be your shadow doing your abilities, doing your melee attacks, or semi-melee, I guess you could call it. Before Tokoyami transforms, he's kind of like semi-ranged, you know, or at least you have a lot of range. Once he transforms, he does become like, he does lose range, so he does become a little more melee. But yeah, it's always going to be your shadow, okay? So you always need to be very mindful of how your shadow moves, you know, how slow or how fast it is, how like all of its animations, you know. In a sense, it's kind of a good thing, you know, because your shadow is actually kind of big, so you know, you can actually read the moves better, you know, in order to practice him. But it's also a disadvantage because it's easier for your opponent to read your moves too, right? Because it's so big. So then we have that you have to build your shadow points to go into liberation mode, or super stand mode, or super saiyan mode, whatever reference you like to use. Basically, the shadow points are that little bar that you can see at the bottom that's like a bird head. You have to fill it up, okay? That's pretty much all you have to do, and then you press Q and you go into your liberation mode. We'll go that into more detail when you go into Tokoyami's abilities, okay? But what you need to know is that in liberation, you get a lot of hyper armor, a lot of massive damage boost, and also that your W and your E change as well, okay? So while you are not transformed, right, this is when you're not transformed, your W and your E will place shadow stones centered on yourself. And while you are standing inside of a shadow zone, you will gain 10% attack damage and 0.5% lifesteal. So always try to fight inside of your shadow zones as much as possible, because 0.5 lifesteal doesn't sound like much, but you know, the way that you build your talent tree. By the way, you can check the ultimate guide to the ultimate talent tree guide at the bottom of this guide, and also I'm gonna put it in the description of this video. But you know, there's a branch in the talent tree that will give you extra shadow zones, so you can build up your lifesteal. You know, the more you use your W, your E, you will build more shadow zones, you will have more lifesteal, and lifesteal, even though it doesn't sound like 0.5% is a lot, it builds up, and it will be a lot. So yeah. Also, one advice that I have for you guys is don't get like don't get tricked, you know. Don't get into the mindset that you must fight inside of your shadow zone, you know, because you're just gonna cripple yourself, okay? Just don't, you know, if you have to chase your enemy or you have to reposition yourself, just don't get locked up, you know, in that mentality of I have to fight in my shadow zone because I get 10% attack and 0.5% lifesteal. Okay, it is a nice boost, but it's not going to be useful if you're mispositioning and you lose because of that, right? So moving on, we have the optimal core gameplay. Okay, this is like an optimal combo that you should always keep in mind, right? This is obviously not the only combo that you will have, but it is one that you should keep in mind, okay, when you're playing Tokoyami. And basically it says that you should activate your quirk as soon as the fight starts, and then gap close or with your W, or group enemies in front of you with your E. And then when you have 50 shadow points, you press Q, so that you go into your liberation mode or Super Saiyan mode or Super Stand mode, and then you press W, 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 E, W, Q. Okay, I'm going to be showing that on the screen, and maybe you will get it a little bit more when we go into the abilities. But yeah, that's basically going to be the optimal combo. You know, that's going to be the combo that you will use in order to optimize the amount of damage. Use all of the boosts that you have in your talent tree. You know, that's just the best way to use Tokoyami. Okay, so yeah, we'll have more advice when we go to the miscellaneous part of the guide, but for now let's just keep it simple. Okay, for the recommended cards, okay, I'm gonna start from the bottom. And also, guys, I'm going to be talking about these cards as if they were already all the way maxed out, because you know, I don't see the point of you know, giving you the base stats. I'm going to tell you what you can do maxed out. Okay, so Fallen Angel of the Night, that is the first of the 2 exclusive cards for Tokoyami. Okay, basically it says when Tokoyami transforms, damage increases by an extra 36%, as well as an extra 1.2% for every 5 points of shadow. Remember that you need 50 points of shadow at least in order to jump into you know, into Super Saiyan mode, right? So that's going to be at least 10%, at the very least an extra 10% damage. Okay, so that's a lot. That's like 46%, 50% damage. That is a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. So you definitely would want this card. Obviously, it's the same for every exclusive card. You're obviously going to want them for your characters, right? So the other one is going to be Tsukuyomi, and what Tsukuyomi does is that it says that increases Tokoyami's damage by another 36%. So obviously the previous one is a little better. It has a bigger increase, but if you get both of them, you get an additional 200 attack points, which isn't really that much, to be completely honest with you. Just 200 attack points flat is not that good. 20% attack would have been much better, but yeah, they're both good. You probably want both of them. The other one is a little bit better, but don't sleep on Tsukuyomi. Okay. Another card that you are going to want, and you will want this regardless of whether you have Tokoyami or not, because this card is insane, is going to be Nomu, or, well, the card is called Unconscious Monster. Okay, and it says increases the damage caused by the character's normal attack by 20% in battle, which is huge because you're going to be auto attacking a lot with Tokoyami. And also there is a chance to enter Tyrant mode after landing a normal attack, and the character gains hyper armor and attack increases by 60% for 5 seconds. So I don't think I need to explain to you why that is insane, why you would of course want this card always. So yeah, let's just move on because that's kind of obvious, right? And then we have Shigi. Shigi says when characters' attacks hit, there is a chance to enter player mode. Penetration rate is increased by 50% for 10 seconds. Penetration rate is basically ignoring the opponent's armor or defense. So yeah, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage if you manage to proc this. So those are the recommended cards. Those are the cards that you would definitely want. If you do not have this, like me for example, I don't have a single one of these 4 cards. You can always go right here to recommended, and you can find right there, you know, the game will tell you like kind of which cards are better for Tokoyami. You know, you can just read the effects of all of the cards that you have and just, you know, figure it out. Or if you're having trouble figuring it out, you can jump into the Discord, and like I said, you can ask YUYJ on the help channel, and he will tell you exactly what you need to know. Okay, so for his abilities, let's start with the Q. Okay, Q is Shadow Latch before he transforms, and Shadow Liberation once he's transformed. So the main use for your Q is to transform once you have 50 shadow points built up. Okay, using this ability without 50 points chooses an average amount of AoE damage, and also it locks you in place. If you guys remember the video that I made, the PvP for free-to-play players guide, I told you guys that when you're fighting a Tokoyami, there are 2 points when he uses his Q. There are 2 windows of opportunity for you to engage him, in which he is extremely vulnerable. Okay, and that's it. That's when he starts his Q, he's vulnerable, and also when he ends his Q, he's vulnerable, because he's going to be locked in place. He's not going to be able to do anything. He's just going to be standing there. He doesn't have hyper armor, so you can engage him and you can destroy him. Okay, so be very careful when you're using Tokoyami. If you're going to use your Q, make sure that you have your opponent locked. Okay, that they're locked in place, that you're comboing them, because if you use your Q with less than 50 shadow points, you're going to root yourself, you're going to give your enemy 2 opportunities to engage you, and then you're gonna cry. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, so when you use your Q, when you have more than 50 shadow points, your Q is going to deal a lot of damage, it's going to group mobs, and it's also going to give you invincibility, right? You're completely invincible when this huge animation is playing, okay? Because it's a long animation, and it's very annoying when you're against it. So if you use your Q, one more thing, if you use your Q while you're transformed, while you're in Liberation or Super Stun or Super Saiyan, it will toggle you out of your Liberation mode. So one thing that I will tell you is don't be afraid of using it. Same as, this is like the same principle of when you are flying with Uraraka, right? A lot of people are afraid of using or don't want to use their W when they're flying with Uraraka because they want to make the most out of their flying. But if you time your abilities right, a lot of the time it's better to use your W on Uraraka, or to toggle out of your transform mode in with Tokoyami. One example would be if you have an opponent locked up, right? And you're just dealing a ton of damage and they can't move, and you know, you run out of abilities to lock him up, you run out of auto attacks, so you can use your Q and transform. It's not bad, because you will then just transform again, you know, go into that massive animation again and do a lot of damage, be invincible, all the stuff that I told you before. So don't be afraid to use your Q when you're in Liberation mode. You will untransform anyway if your shadow runs out, so yeah, keep that in mind. And that might even be worse, because you know, if you untransform, if you toggle out of your transformation because your shadow ran out, then you're going to be locked in place as if you were using your Q with less than 50 shadow points, and it will give your opponent another window of opportunity. So keep all of this in mind. Okay, you can find all of this in the guide. It's going to be right there. You can find it, you can see it, you can read it, everything. Okay, so your W is going to be called Night Hunter when you're not transformed, and it's going to be a gap closer that does small damage but will place a shadow zone under you. Remember guys, that shadow zones will give you 10% attack damage and 0.5% lifesteal, so keep that in mind. Okay, and also remember, don't get locked up in the mentality that you must fight in your shadow zones, because that's going to lose you games. So yeah, your W is pretty much very handy for opening, you know, opening combat, engaging, stuff like that. You know, if an enemy is vulnerable, you can you know, get on their faces with W right away. So yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, so then you have your W when you transform. Okay, like while you are transformed, your W while you are transformed is it's a little wonky, okay? Basically, after any ability that you use while you're while transformed, okay, if you use any abilities, you can then chain that ability with the second like stage, I guess, of your W while you're transformed again, which is going to be basically aerial assault. Tokoyami basically just jumps into the air and then falls down again. Does it a lot of damage, but yeah, it's a little wonky. It's best used after your transformed E, because your transformed E will throw your enemies into the air, and then you can chase them with your, with that second stage of your W. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. Like I said, it's a little wonky, but remember that you can use it after every single ability and not just your E, even though your E is probably the best one to chain it after, okay? So the other side of your W while transformed is basically, if it's not chained to anything, you just use it, right? It's going to be an AoE on the floor that deals a lot of damage, pretty much, okay? So pretty simple. Then we have our E. E is Abyssal Talents. Seems like it's a Tokoyami's best ability. Okay, it will, while you're not transformed, it will group enemies together and then deal a lot of damage in a large AoE. So the one thing that I will tell you is you should definitely practice with this ability on practice mode a lot, because you need to learn the range of it, okay? The range is kind of wonky, like the animation isn't very clear, doesn't let you, like, it's not very clean in the sense that it won't really let you know how far does the range of this ability actually go. So yeah, that is one thing that you should definitely practice and get the hang of it, exactly how big is the range of this ability, okay? Because if you get it right, then you will be a god in PvP, I promise. Another thing to keep in mind is that your E, while you are not transformed, your E will group mobs together, or will drag your enemy towards you, and then if your enemy doesn't have hyper armor, it will throw them into the air. Okay, and that's great for stun locking them forever, right? So that's great in PvP. So your E, when you are transformed, is a frontal AoE. Basically, it's like a large area in front of you that does massive damage and also lets you chain into your aerial W cast, because that cone of like on the floor where you deal a lot of damage will also throw enemies into the air if they don't have hyper armor, okay? So yeah, that's why I was saying your transformed E is probably the best ability to chain your second stage W off of, right? I hope that's clear. I hope if you don't get what I'm saying, I hope you can get you understand when you see the guide. And so then you have your ultimate. The only thing that you need to keep in mind, it's like any other ultimate, it just deals a lot of damage. But one thing that you do need to keep in mind when you want to use your ultimate is that you can only use it when you are not transformed. If you're in liberated mode, you cannot use your ultimates, okay? So keep that in mind, because it has happened to me that a lot of the time I'm going to be in the middle of a fight, and I'm gonna be in PvP. Like, this is always in the context of PvP, because I use Tokoyami in PvP. I'm gonna be in the middle of a fight, and I'm gonna be like, I want to throw my ultimate, and why is it not coming off? And then I lose a bunch of time realizing that I'm a dumbass and I'm transformed, so I can't use my ultimate, okay? So you can only use your ultimate when you are not transformed. Keep that in mind, otherwise you will have to put on a clown wig. And lastly, your special pretty much just stacks shadow points, so you should use it whenever you have it available, because you want your shadow points to go into your liberated mode and go crazy mode. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the abilities, at least. Alright, and now we have some miscellaneous stuff, okay? So you have actually, many people don't know this, but you have actually 5% chance of entering Rampage, right? Rampage. It's like another mode, right? It does at least 2 times as much damage as Liberation mode. I can't really tell the difference. I think Rampage gives you like a red aura around you. I've been trying to get it, but I'm not sure if it's coming out or not, so I'm sorry I can't show it on video. But yeah, I believe, because I've seen this before and wondered what it is. I think it's a red aura around your wings. I think it might be completely wrong. If somebody knows how to understand how to see it, how to know when you are in rampage mode, please leave a comment and let us know. I will update the guide with the tip, like to actually be able to tell when you're in rampage mode or not. So another thing that you should keep in mind, Tokoyami on auto is actually solid. He gets a ton of healing, super armor, and damage reduction. He is very, very, very good in the super co-op mode. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear the rain. I'm so sorry. It's raining really hard. It's been raining all day. I've been trying to wait for the rain to stop to record, but it doesn't seem like it's going away. And I need my channel to grow. I need my channel to grow. I need to live. So I'm really sorry if you can hear the rain. But Tokoyami Auto is actually really solid. You want to take it to Super Co-op for sure. If you have him geared up, if you have him, like decent, you definitely want to take him to Super Co-op. You want to be mindful of where you put him, because he is a little bit fragile, at least mine is a little fragile. So yeah, for sure. One thing that I will tell you for Super Co-op is that if you take him with All Might, you are almost guaranteed to win. If you know how to position, you are almost guaranteed to win, because Tokoyami will just group everyone together, and All Might will then stun lock your entire or the opposite team forever and ever and ever with his tornadoes, and it's pretty much game over from there. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you have All Might and Tokoyami, definitely something that you should look into. Okay. So the left tree on Tokoyami's talent tree is going to be the last priority. If you want, you can check out the ultimate talent tree guide, where I'll go into more detail. I will leave a link in the description to the video, and also the guide if you just want to check out the guide. And also, one more thing that you should keep in mind is that if you use your W while you are in the liberated mode, and then you use your Q to toggle out of your transformation, and immediately as soon as you untransform, you use your R, then you will catch the tail end of your 25% attack buff that comes from the bottom right of your talent tree, and you will do a ton of damage. You will deal a ton of damage. Okay, so keep that in mind. One more thing that's not on the guide, but I wanted to give you guys as a little bit of an advice is practice him a lot. Tokoyami, his shadow is really, really big. So two things that you should keep in mind. One, some of Tokoyami's animations are actually very very slow. They're very I forgot the word right now, but they're telegraphed. A lot of his moves are very telegraphed, so an experienced enemy that knows how to fight Tokoyamis is going to give you a hard time. So you should really practice and actually understand when you should go in, when you should use your abilities, when which abilities to combo with which, in which order, the timings, when your opponent comes out of hyper armor, which ability to use so that they can't recover. So practice that a lot, because like I said, a lot of his abilities are very telegraphed, so an experienced enemy, an experienced opponent will know when you use your abilities and will definitely dodge you, and you will have a very, very difficult time. Okay. Number two, a lot of his abilities are very flashy. They occupy the entire screen, so they will be very, sometimes it will be very difficult to know what's happening, especially when you use your E while untransformed. It's very obtrusive, so it's hard to see what's happening. So keep that in mind also, because a lot of the times I will be so happy thinking that I'm comboing my opponent down, and then like once all of the animations clear out, I'm actually being destroyed. So keep that in mind. Okay. So yeah, those are just two things that I wanted to tell you that have, are based off of my experience alone. And yeah, that's going to be the video for today, guys. That's going to be the ultimate Tokoyami guide. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can of course leave a comment. You can jump into the Discord and ask YUYJ. He will give you all of the info that you need. If you have any recommendations for the guide, please leave a comment. I will happily add whatever it is that you have. if you're interested in chips or in talents, I have guides for both of those things in my channel. I will leave the link in the description. And yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed the guide, leave a comment what do you think, subscribe if you'd like more guides like this one, and I'll see you on the next one.